This book, The Monstrous Anger of the Guns, is the most important and timely book you'll see this year. What it does is challenges the direction of travel of our country. Defence spending is set to rise to 2.5% of GDP. That could be as high as 75 billion a year. That's an awful lot of money that could be better used on other things. But it will also mean changes if what we're wanting in this book comes about. There is a chapter, Workers Against the Arms Trade, and it shows how working class communities in Britain and around the world have questioned the products they're making, have questioned what those planes are used for, where those bombs are dropped, where those munitions end up, how many children die as a result of those cluster bombs dropping on their towns. Those that work in the arms industry are not the enemies of the peace. They are the skills of the future, the skills that can make better public transport, the skills that can make sustainable energy systems, the skills that can make so much that is productive and useful to deal with the real issues our planet faces. And so we will be taking this book on tour, promoting debate and promoting discussion and promoting the ideas of a more sustainable, more peaceful world where we don't see the arms industry as the main motor of the economy. We see the arms industry as something to reduce so that we can deal with the real social and environmental problems that the world faces.
One of the things I think you have to understand about the international arms trade is it is a kind of topsy-turvy world. From the perspective of the arms sellers, what they really want are long-lasting wars, which are essentially violent stalemates, where neither side can win, but each side needs lots of weapons. And the very fact of the wars encourages other countries to rearm as well. Gaza and Palestine is one example. You see it even more with Ukraine, where neither side can win and neither side can lose. It will have to end at the negotiating table. But meanwhile, it's the best possible war as far as the arms seller is concerned. And what you get out of that is all sorts of possibilities for sales and marketing. You can market your new weapons and say they work. So overall, it's the opposite of what you might expect. War is very good for business directly, and it produces more business in the longer term.
The climate catastrophe is the biggest threat facing our global security. But as we struggle to build the political will to tackle climate change, our leaders prefer to spend taxpayer money fueling wars around the world. This money is desperately needed to protect our planet, but instead the military-industrial complex causes further emissions. The Pentagon alone is the world's largest institutional polluter, with a carbon footprint the size of countries such as Sweden or Denmark. Monstrous Anger of the Guns shows how militarism and the arms trade warp our understanding of real human security and cause untold environmental and social damage.
As this crucially important book shows, the arms trade is the most corrupt of all trades, accounting for around 40% of all corruption in world trade, hidden behind a veil of national security-imposed secrecy, and much of that corrupt money finding its way back into our political systems in Western countries. In addition to which, the socio-economic opportunity cost of this trade is almost incalculable. In South Africa, we spent over $10 billion on weapons that we didn't need or use because $350 million of bribes were paid. This was at the time when our then President Thabo Mbeki said we could not afford to provide antiretrovirals for the 6 million people living with HIV or AIDS. This led to hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of avoidable deaths. In addition to which, in Britain today, Keir Starmer's commitment to increase defence spending to 2.5% of GDP, which is around £10 billion a year, is money that should be used to invest in our communities, in the NHS, in schools, in real low-cost housing, and of course, in food banks and support to people struggling through the cost of living crisis. Why is it that there is always enough money to bomb people, but never enough money to feed